Hi, welcome back to CS170. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving break. So I have the schedule up here. You can see that we have the past week was Thanksgiving, so that was off. I hope some people had a chance to maybe catch up on some of the work they may have been behind on, lectures, whatnot. This week, don't forget, we have the recitation project for people that are in-person recitations. That's going to be part of your recitation. You'll do the work in the class and turn it in. For the people who are doing the recitations off of recordings asynchronously, I've asked the TAs to post and give you a heads up of when they're going to post their recitation video, and then you'll have 24 hours from that point to view the recitation, do the work for the recitation project. It pretty much builds on the spreadsheet work that you've already done, so it shouldn't be that big of a effort to be able to get it done. So do try to watch for the recitation announcement and get that in. You can see we're rounding towards the end of the semester. So you'll see, like, for the lectures, I'm covering social implications of IT, computer limitations, privacy and security. And then going into next week, it'll just kind of finish up on privacy and security, as well as a little bit of an exam review. And, just like the other exams, I told people to, and I'm telling you now, to send me emails if you have some questions on particular topics that you want covered, and I'll try to cover it in the lecture next week. This week's lecture, I'll try to break up each of the topics into small, shorter lectures, shorter videos. And also keep in mind, for those of you that missed quizzes, you're gonna have like the quizzes reopen here on the 13th. It's only open for a short period of time, so once it's open, do take advantage of it, and then it will close. I think usually they're maybe open for like a day or so, maybe 2 days at the most. So watch for the announcement when that opens. But you can see here on the syllabus, it's for the 13th. Okay, so if you have some quizzes to make up, make sure you do that. Make sure you get all your assignments sorted. And if there's any considerations we need to take, make sure you let me know. Okay. And then if there's any particular questions about specific topics on the recitations and whatnot, make sure you drop into the lab hours or reach out to your TA's office hours. Okay. So, so here, I've already posted up the lecture slides. Once I get done with this video, I'll post up the video onto here. As usual, we also have the media gallery, which is here. And come on. So you can see all the different weeks here and all the different topics here by week. So if you need to go back to any of these, you can go back to any of them and refer. And of course, as usual, we also have the modules with the resources for each week. So make sure you take a look at those also. Okay. Okay. And then also do try to take advantage of Piazza. I know some people posted questions on the Excel assignment in Piazza. So we covered some of those in there. So do take advantage of that. And I'm sure everyone here knows by now the announcements. Okay, so we have the announcements that are popping up here, talking about the recitation projects and whatnot. So pay attention to these things. Okay, all right, so here we are. These are the different topics here. So the last couple of chapters here for this course, it's it's not programming. It's not like the JavaScript, HTML, or the Excel. it's kind of almost like book knowledge type of stuff that we covered at the beginning of the semester with things like the early days of computing, the computing history, some of how the fetch execute cycle works and whatnot. This is a similar type of thing here. So social implications of IT, okay? There's a quick little thing here, which you'll see in the slides if you want to go through it. It's just like a quick review of like tables and stuff for Excel. So just a reminder, these type of things, right? So you kind of almost have to do like a little bit of data prep, right? So make sure there's none of these different things that it's highlighting here. Blank rows, blank columns, subtotals. Make sure each of the columns have a unique name. No extra rows of titles there. Okay. Remember, you only select one cell. If you select more than one cell, it would cause a problem. Once you have that range, it automatically figures out what that range is because you did things like set up all of the data already. So once you get the data to this point, you select in one cell, it kind of knows what the table will be. Okay. And then you can see here, we've worked on these different tables. We did the pivot table most recently. We also did table before that. Okay. And of course, you did it for your recent assignment also. Okay. So this is an example of like the pivot table. You can pick like the different attributes you want to work with. You can apply filters. You know, if you put the filters, it'll be like at the top part here. You can select what you want the columns and the rows to be, and then you can select what the sums will be. Okay. And remember when we did the table, you can do stuff like subtotals at the bottom. You can select the different styles, almost like the charts and whatnot. So you can have like different colors and whatnot in here. Okay, so that's just a quick review here. And then social implications, that's chapter 11 in your reading, if you want to go into that. These are the notable topics you should be somewhat familiar with. That's what's going to be covered in the exam. Okay, and so just understand what each of these concepts will mean. I'm not going to cover all of that in this lecture. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep the lectures a little bit short. I'm not sure how long this lecture is run, probably run for 10, 15 minutes already. So the first idea is this idea of crowdsourcing. Okay, and I think probably, you know, just to give an example, one of the most commonly referred to success stories around crowdsourcing is Wikipedia. Okay, so you know, back in the old days, you used to have like these things called encyclopedias, and there'll be like a dedicated company, right? And even like companies like Microsoft used to attempt to try to come up with their own replacement for the idea of an encyclopedia. So it's basically a company with people they hired to source and put together these articles about different topics, like all kinds of different topics. And it would be books and books and books and stuff. And then like every year you would need to update it. So there'll be like, you know, either a whole new set or they would just post some updates for that instead of encyclopedia. Okay. So, and these things were expensive, right? So it was expensive to put it together. It was expensive for you to purchase it. Probably you got it from a library, maybe. So this idea of Wikipedia is that, you know, anybody, pretty much anybody can submit articles for free, right? And, you know, this whole pool of this whole universe of our population would just submit articles into Wikipedia. And then there's this idea of like, you know, essentially gatekeepers who would make sure they're quote unquote reasonable articles, properly done, and that's it, right? So it's people doing this for free and people having access to it for free, okay? And, you know, with this volunteer set of people to to do this, it's basically put the encyclopedia makers out of business. Okay, so it's more frequently updated. It's on the internet, so people can post updates to the articles anytime they want. They don't have to wait once a year for updates from the encyclopedia to come out. Okay, so I won't go more into it, but that's kind of like one of the widely referred to success stories with respect to crowdsourcing. Okay, and I'm sure you'll see a ton of articles on it if you were to read up on it. Okay, and of course, it's also in the book also. And then there's these other things here. You can see things like this where it says open office, right? Ways, you probably do it if you probably use this if you're driving. So again, it's sourcing information from regular people. Regular people just send information in, let you know how to avoid the traffic and stuff like that, okay? Things like Linux, Apache, they're what they call open source. So different developers will contribute to this open source and everyone else can use it for free. There's a little bit more to it than that, like people will build on top of it, come up with their own versions. Maybe they kind of say they add more features to it, or they make it more secure, or whatever it is, they add some service value add on top of it, then they can sell it for money, okay? But you can still get like the base version, the open source version for free if you want, okay? So all of these are examples of open source, which is basically a large group, a population of volunteers helping to solve a problem, okay? So a little bit of extension on that is this idea of like crowdfunding, okay? So it's the same type of thing. You put something out there, kind of like social media, and people will raise money, collectively. So everybody just kind of puts in a little bit of money, and then that's how they contribute to a cause. Maybe it's a volunteer effort, maybe it's to support a project or whatever. It's kind of at the micro level, okay? So, and to a certain extent, it's almost like when you get into microfinancing also. So it's this idea, it's almost like raising money in sort of a peer-to-peer type of way. Historically, either one, there was no outlet for these type of things, or two, you had to kind of be a certain size, like maybe you're trying to raise like hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that. And then you would have big financial institutions that are involved. But when you're doing stuff like crowdfunding, it could be very small amounts of money, but because there's like a large group of people contributing into it, then that can kind of accumulate. Or you might be just raising small amounts of money. It could be like $100 or $200 or something like that, okay? So I'm gonna end the lecture at this point. The main concepts for this lecture is the idea of crowdsourcing and then the idea of crowdfunding, okay? And then we'll pick up on other things with electronic payments and collaborations and filter bubbles and stuff like that in subsequent lectures. But I want to get one lecture out for this week so far. So main thing, crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. Okay, and do make sure you look out for the recitation project that should be coming out this week. All right, thank you.